Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. Happy Thursday. It's Debbie DeGroat here. Really fabulous topic today. I think it's so important, maybe one of the most important that we could potentially even do as we prepare you for the year ahead, emotional intelligence. So I have lots of great stuff for you. Thank you, Kevin. I was just going to ask to type in the chat box and let me know that you're hearing me loud and clear. If you were with us last week when my business partner and co-founder of Forward Coaching, Ben Kinney, was with me, he promised us all an economic update session. And I was just texting with Ben now. We're working on getting a date for December, so we'll be sure to let you guys know. So emotional intelligence, I'm just curious if you guys want to type in the chat box. Maybe some of you know about this. Maybe some of you have even taken an emotional intelligence assessment, or maybe you have a thought of what you think it is. So please feel free, go ahead and type in the chat box. I would love to see what you guys have to say. Kevin, thanks for asking. Actually, I'm not referring to the DISC assessment, which is a very popular tool that we use here at Forward Coaching. So I'll explain in a minute the difference between, or how the DISC actually fits in to this whole equation of emotional intelligence. So Kellyanne, I see you've read the book and taken the assessment. Awesome. Seems like most here have not, which is perfect. And Kellyanne, I'm hoping this will give you some good tips and takeaways. Heather, yes, you're on the right track. Understanding people's feelings so you can help them better, being aware of how they think. Michelle, spot on. You can read the room and communicate effectively. So you guys are on the right track. So let's get this party started. You know, I feel so fortunate that when I got into real estate at the young age of 18, I just had a broker that was an incredible salesperson. And he taught me that you had to learn, to Michelle's point, to read the room, that I had to adapt. He told me I needed to be chameleon-like, and that having sales versatility was not being phony. It was really the highest gift you could give someone that you're working with, to try to understand them and communicate in a way that was effective. And I gave him so much credit for the success I had later in selling. But I think one of the most important components was the fact that he taught me I didn't just show up and talk. I had to show up and listen. I had to read between the lines, and I had to adapt. So just for fun, let's talk about the difference between IQ and EQ. See, we were all born with a certain IQ. We can't change it, right? However, the EQ, that's a learned skill. It's not a fixed trait. So, of course, we could study harder in school and get a little bit smarter. But for an example, I was not born with an IQ high enough to be a rocket scientist, right? I mean, I had an IQ high enough to get through school, high enough to learn to sell real estate, but I was not born high IQ enough to be a rocket scientist. Now, certainly, I also was not born with a high EQ, but I decided that if I wanted to succeed, not just in sales, but in business and in life, it was something I had to master. So as I've read and studied this was something that I found really fascinating. It said that having a high EQ is critical for achieving high-level success in business. In fact, it's even a predictor. So one of the books I read said that if you have a high IQ, you still only have about a 10% likelihood to achieve success in your chosen field. But if you have a high EQ, you have a 90% chance to achieve success. So that's why important time of year to be thinking about, how do I raise my EQ? How do I get ready for the year ahead? Because yeah, we could work harder or we could just be better at what we do. So let's break it down. How do you know if you have a high EQ? Well, you understand your own emotions. So I'll try to give you an example of that. I have a perfect example. One of our coaching clients contacted me yesterday and they said, okay, I have to see a client tonight. The deal just closed. And it was a bumpy deal. And I did my best and I did a good job and I got the house for them. But they were friends of mine who throughout the transaction behaved badly. They were rude, they were aggressive, they didn't appreciate the things that I was doing for them. And I am really, really upset by that. And when I see them tonight, I want to tell them how they hurt my feelings and how upset I was. So, how was she feeling, right? Mistreated, abused, upset. But then I said, okay, but let's stop and think about this for a minute. We have to understand that some people don't do well in a real estate transaction, right? It's scary. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors in their life and their finances. And I often say it's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They lose their mind. So she understood. She was very upset with them and why. But then I tried to get her to take a moment and say, but let's understand the emotions that were going on for them, the challenges and how that made them feel. And maybe they regret that they behaved badly. So maybe we need to give them that benefit of the doubt. So what we scripted was how she was going to talk to them in that evening. So here's what I asked her to say. I want to say congratulations. You have a wonderful home. I'm so excited that I was able to obtain it for you. And I know the transaction was bumpy. I know real estate is stressful. And I know at times you were very upset. And I completely understand. And I hope that you understand. I fought for you and did my best. And I hope that we're in a good place now. And you can enjoy your home and we can move on and still be great friends. And you know what? She texted me last night. Thank you so much for the advice. She said, I wrote it down. I said exactly what you told me to say. And they both told me this has been on our mind. We feel terrible. We just got so distraught. It's not your fault. We appreciate you. We are so sorry. Can we take you out to dinner? We owe you an apology. Big deal, right? So the difference could be she could have not understood her emotions. She could have not processed and thought about their emotions, which then meant if she would not have effectively managed that interaction. Not only would she have lost a friend, she would have burned a bridge. She would have lost a future real estate client. So you know that when they say, I saw red, like, you get so mad, you see red, your blood pressure goes up, your heart's pounding. See, highly emotional people react and emote. People with a high EQ take a breath and really think about, why am I feeling this way? What do I need to do about this? How do I communicate this effectively? And here's the interesting thing. It is quite possible to be a highly charming, good with people person and still not be good at managing emotions in a stressful situation. So back to the disc for a moment. Many of you here today, your dominant personality style is high I, which is influencer. Which makes sense, right? Because you are influencers and probably that higher I, got to be with people, got to talk to people, move it, shake it, make the things happen, is probably what attracted you to real estate, because you're kind of naturally in that zone. But see, you could be great at that and yet overly emotional when something goes sideways, get angry quickly, speak out too fast, not be careful of what you say or how you interact. So it is possible that you could be charming and not have a high EQ. So the shocking truth, and this is the heart of why this is important, 50% of the opportunities that you lose or the conflicts that occur stem from a lack of EQ in the situation. So imagine what's possible when you strengthen it. So I want to give all the credit to this awesome authors here, Travis Bradberry and Jean Graves. I highly recommend this book. It's a small book, super easy to read. Now, what they even recommend in the book is don't worry about reading the book first. Just in the book, they'll give you a code. That code will take you online where you can take the assessment. It takes 10 minutes, no hard questions, I promise, super easy, and it will immediately send you back about a 25-page report. That 25-page report will give you 2 scores and a combined score. It will give you a score on your ability to read the room, right? To instinctively read the room, understand and adapt to people, and a score of how self-aware are you of your own emotions and managing it. And then it will give you a combined overall score. Now it's 0 to 100. Here at Forward, I will not even hire a coach that does not score initially at least 85 or above. Because see, I don't feel they would be intuitive enough to adapt to you and all the complications in your business and in your world. But then I expect them to continue to work to get as close to 100 as they possibly can, because I think it's important, okay? But what if you take the assessment and you're, let's pick a number, 56. I actually know someone really well, fabulous person, great salesperson, but a little emotional. Took the assessment, score was 56, was a little devastated by that, but the report very specifically tells you what to go work on in your daily life. Nothing weird, nothing strange, just things to be aware of, what to go work on. She took the assessment again. 3 months later, her score was 87. See, it's pretty easy. So you first have to discover what's my baseline? What do I need to work on? And then consciously work on that over a period of 3 to 4 months. Take the assessment again when you're ready. The book gives you 2 tries, so you can take it once, take it again, and you're going to be surprised how much it can improve. So let's go through the 4 skills. So EQ skill number 1, that is your own self-awareness, the capacity to tune into your own emotions. So you know what you're feeling, why you're feeling it. You know how those feelings are impacting the situation you're involved in. And you have that ability to manage your behavior and response. Just like the story I just told you. She knew she was feeling hurt and angry. She knew if she wasn't careful, those feelings would blow up that relationship. And with careful thought, a little self-control, and careful scripting, she managed that behavior and response to repair that relationship. Okay, so EQ skill number 2 is that self-management. It's the ability to recognize those emotions and then manage those disruptive emotions and impulses, using emotional awareness to stay flexible and guide your behavior in a positive direction. So I shared with you guys a while back a story of something that happened to my husband. And I think it was when we were talking about negotiation, right? And how to get along with other agents. But it's perfect for this one. So if you've heard it before, sorry, I got to use it again. So we're driving along in the car. My husband has a new listing. It's a probate, super red hot, has 25 offers on it, and offers are being heard on Monday. This is a Saturday. We're driving in the car. Phone call comes in. It's on the Bluetooth. And this agent starts off like, well, let me tell you, this is, and she said her name in the company that she was with. And she said, I don't know how long you have been in the real estate business, but I have been in the business for 20 years. And I want to tell you that this listing is ridiculously overpriced. I don't know where you got the numbers. I don't know how you managed to list it for that. And by the way, my buyer is going to make an offer. And I told my buyer to come in 15% less because that is what it's worth. And she was very offensive, her tone, there were a few other things she said. My husband is looking at me and I'm like, don't you dare. Because I knew what he wanted to do, right? The emotion was, he was offended. He's been in the business 35 years. Does she need to know that? Would she even care? No. He knew she was wrong. He had 25 offers on the property. I mean, there was a lot that he could have said. And maybe he would have if I hadn't been in the car, right? But what he said was, well, I appreciate you sharing your opinion. And what I should also share with you is let you know that there are 25 bids on the property and every single one of them is over asking. So if your buyer is interested, I would encourage you to encourage them to make their best offer. And on Monday, we will review them and we will get an answer for you. Well, that's just ridiculous. I'm going to tell him to pass on this one. He said, that's your call. Have a good day. Now that was hard, right? But when you think about it, what would getting into the fray of that little battle even accomplish, right? It won't actually make you feel better. It'll just actually make you feel worse to get engaged deeper with that person. It would burn valuable energy that, would take away from your day and happiness. Doesn't accomplish anything for your seller because that agent's not going to change your mind. You're not going to do anything to fix that. And even though we kind of don't like her, however, you may have to deal with her again. So by avoiding a conflict, maybe if we have an offer on her listing, we'll have better luck. You see what I mean? So that's the self-management. So ability to stay focused on the goals to despite the distractions and drama of your day. So if you lack self-management, you will know it because you will tend to do a lot of verbal outbursts. You might act or speak impulsively, and you show impatience with others. Okay. So EQ skill number 3, social awareness. Accuracy in reading and interpreting others' emotions, usually through nonverbal cues and clues. So body language, right? Hearing the phrases they use and going, what did that mean exactly? And maybe digging in deeper with a clarifying question. If you are a leader, and even I feel like we're all leaders because we're leading our clients to achieve their real estate goals, it's having empathy. Now, empathy is different than sympathy. Empathy is walking a mile in their shoes, just like the other story about the couple that behaved badly. Okay, but let's walk a mile in their shoes. First house they've ever sold, disappointed about what the market price would deliver, some bumps and lumps in the deal, new job situation happening, 2-month-old baby, right? You can look at all of that and go, I can have a little empathy for how they reacted. So they reflect, high social awareness, reflect on how others are feeling, and then adapt, just like she did, adapt the communication style to resolve the situation. Now, to do that, you got to be a super active listener. You got to listen, you got to watch, you got to hear that tonality, you got to read between the lines. Talk less. Talk less. In any interaction with a buyer or seller, kind of a good rule of thumb is I want to talk no more than 25 to 50% of the time. And half of the time that I'm talking should actually be me asking great questions. So talk less. I always have to chuckle when I meet a brand new agent at an event and I say, what caused you to get into real estate? All of my friends and family told me I'm such a great talker, I should be in the business. I'm like, yeah, well, you might want to be careful with that one, right? So EQ skill number 4, relationship management. And this is really when we bring all these skills together, and it really enables you to act in ways that inspire others, that create harmony. You're the calm, cool force in the transaction, and you maintain strong relationships. So you'd be considered a great influencer, an excellent coach and mentor. Because, really, when you think about your buyers and sellers, isn't that what we do? We help them overcome their fear and hesitation. We coach them to see opportunity. We mentor them through that transaction. We resolve conflict and we inspire action in others. So EQ skill 4, relationship management. So bottom line, guys, if you have a weak connection with others, you're likely going to have a hard time getting your point across to inspire them to act. There was something in neuropersuasion, a book I read once, that said, if you do not have trust and rapport, persuasion is highly unlikely to occur. So it's very important. And remember, it's a little bit of work, but when you do the work, you can be a whole new you in 3 to 6 months. But here's the thing. It's kind of an ongoing project, right? So let's pretend that we decided we're all going to get like super fit, go to Orange Theory. I go to Orange Theory, not as often as I should because I have to go at 5 a.m. and sometimes it's just hard to face them yelling at me at 5 a.m., but I go. And let's say that we went to Orange Theory every day for 3 to 6 months, and we are awesome. We're in great shape. It's a new habit. It's a routine. It's part of our life. But then we start to slip and we start to slide and we start to go back to our old habits. So you're never going to ultimately arrive in your EQ work, right? The first step is being very conscious and aware of the issues that are stopping you from having the highest EQ possible. That's the first step. So the assessment will help you. The next step is identifying the work that you need to do. And I really feel the next step is having people in your life who care about you, who will hold you accountable. Just like I did with my husband in the car, like, zip it, no. That you ask those people, when you see me showing up in a way that I should not be, that is not my highest and best EQ, stop me, correct me, remind me. So we're just human, right, guys? And we're all very emotional creatures, and we're in one of the toughest businesses that I think there is because of the people and the situations we deal with. So do the work. You're going to see a whole new you. So like Valencia, who went from 56 to 86, but then it would be possible that she could slide back. No, she's not going to go back to 56, you see, because she's too aware and she did too much work. But it would be possible that she might slide back from 86 to 76 or 66 because it's an emotionally fraught business that we're in. So my suggestion would be, once you do that assessment and you know the work that it recommends and the issues that you have, what if you just literally kept that on your desk? What if once a week you just scanned that report just as a quick reminder? And then on top of that, you have your great accountability partners. So if you've not taken the assessment, take it and then read the book. Now, I actually prefer, I love books online, but in this particular instance, I think it's a little bit nicer to buy the actual physical book, because then it's easy for you to carry it around, take it to open house, mark and highlight things that apply to you. So you may want to actually buy the physical copy of the book. And, you know, if you have people in your world that you care about, whether it's agents on your team, maybe it's an assistant or a director of operations that works with you, maybe it's someone in your family, maybe it's your children. And, you know, obviously they have to be a little bit older, but maybe this would be a great gift to give them. You know, I have quite a few of our clients here at Forward that actually put together a little book club because they know the journey is never ending. They know life is going to challenge them. So they're doing this book club, reading the book together and discussing how they're doing the work. And it's kind of fun. It's amazing what this will do for your business. So if you need some help with this, if this is a struggle, you can request, Van just popped up, thank you, Van, our link for complimentary strategy call, or you can scan that QR code. See, here at Forward, our passion is not just the basics. Like, of course, we all have to do the basics. We have to make calls. We have to meet the public. But our job is to figure you out. Your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, help you lean into those strengths to have an awesome year and enjoy the business more. And then work to tweak and fine tune those weaknesses to further elevate your success. So if you like to talk to me about that and how it works to coach with us, just scan that code or go to that link. There is no better time than now to plan for our year ahead. So I'm going to make another commitment to all of you. If you take that assessment, which I'm hoping you all will, and if you would like to share the score or ask me a question about your score, you are more than welcome to email me, and I'm going to type it in here right now. It's very, very easy. Debbie at Forward Coaching, and type and talk, coaching.com. There you go, guys. And let me grab the book. I will show it to you. It is Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And it is Travis Bradberry. Just look for Travis Bradberry, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Love to hear your thoughts about it. Back to the beginning when we talked about the DISC assessment, your personality style, whether you're high D, a driver, high I, an influencer, high S, very amiable and steady, or high C, very analytical, that does not, none of those would be more naturally, more emotionally intelligent than another style. That's a separate thing, right? However, I will say that a high S and high C would tend to be a little quieter, a little bit more withdrawn, little less likely to have such a loud verbal outburst, but it wouldn't necessarily mean that they would have a higher EQ than, say, a high I, who might tend to be a lot more verbal, right? But read the book. I think you'll like it. I don't do that often where I say, this is a book you guys need, because I know how busy you are, but this one will change your life. And the author is Brad Berry. So if you can see it, I'll put it up there really, really close so you can see the author. All right, guys, so we have some good stuff planned for you between now and the end of the year. Remember, the holidays did not begin on Halloween. So let's keep working. Let's do some good stuff. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.